About a year ago, I was listening to a podcast with the Zapier co-founder who was being interviewed, and they asked him, how do you pronounce Zapier? Is it Zapier or is it Zapier? To which he replied, it's Zapier because Zapier makes you happier. That couldn't be any more true because Zapier has made me very happy because, in my opinion, Zapier Central is most likely the best productivity tool since ChatGPT. Now, I know that's quite a bold statement, but I'm going to be showing you in this video exactly why that is, and I'm going to be showing you all the features of Zapier Central and how to actually build out these AI automations. So what is Zapier Central? According to the website, Zapier Central allows you to work hand in hand with AI bots, and they do this by integrating the power of language models, which is ChatGPT or OpenAI, together with the 6,000 different applications that Zapier integrate with. This has also been referred to as AI agents or large action models, where the AI is able to interface with the real world and perform tasks for you. Together with the intelligence of AI, it's able to not just do the step-by-step Zapier actions, but it's able to use artificial intelligence to basically allow you to do more advanced stuff with Zapier. And that's what I'm going to be showing you today. So let's jump into it. What you want to do is you want to go to zapier.com/central and you want to click on this Try Central Today button. If you're already logged in with Zapier, it'll take you straight into the Zapier Central dashboard. If not, you'll need to sign in or create an account, and it should then bring you over here. Now, if it doesn't, just navigate to central.zapier.com in your URL, and you should then be set to go. Before we jump into learning how to use Zapier Central, I'm first going to show you what we are going to be building and demo that to you. So we have a Google Sheet with a bunch of data, task name in column A and duration in column B. So something that I'm personally very bad at is guessing how long something will take. And when I schedule it on my Google Calendar, I always estimate it incorrectly. So I'm trying to build a bot which will use AI to accurately estimate how long a task will take me and then automatically add that event into my Google Calendar all through the chatbot. So here I have a whole bunch of tasks, stuff like update financial forecasts, plan an update for investors, analyze sales data and trends, and then I've got the corresponding duration of how long this task took me in the past. What I'm also going to be building into this bot is a way to actively update the spreadsheet when we add new events manually into Google Sheets. So more on that later. But for now, I'm going to do a demo. So it's asking, what can I help you with? And you'll notice here I have a knowledge base and I have some behavior set up. You don't need to worry about that for now. We'll get into it. But first, I'm just going to show you how it works. So I'm going to say schedule task and I'll write meet with investors. And then I'm going to say, I'll say Thursday at 8:15 and I'll send that in. All right. So now you'll see that I sent a message which has triggered a action, and that action is processing this Google Sheet where it's getting all the rows from the spreadsheet, and it's basically trying to now estimate how much time that's going to take me. And you can see immediately after that, the action in progress is quick add event, where it's basically now adding an event to my Google Calendar at that time. So you can see it says, the task meet with investors has been successfully scheduled in your Google Calendar for Thursday at 8:15 with an estimated duration of 3 hours. You can view the event here. So you'll see there, 8:15 till 11:15, we have an event, meet with investors. And you can see there it is. And that was all done by the bot. I didn't need to manually come here and select the amount of hours and type anything in. It did it all automatically, and it was even able to estimate the amount of time it would take, because if we come here, you can see I have another task called meet with investors for funding. And last time that took me 3 hours. So it was intelligent enough to basically estimate that it'll take 3 hours again based on the historic data. How awesome is that? Now, let's say I wanted to add some more data into the spreadsheet to make it more intelligent. So for instance, if I come here and I schedule from 7 to 8 a.m. tomorrow morning and I type in go to gym, all right, and I click save, that now just created a new event, and this sends a webhook to Zapier, which now reads in the event details and is then going to add a new line item. So I've waited some time and we can see here in row 61, it added in the task go to gym, and the duration is 1 hour, the same amount that it was set inside of the Google event. By the way, if you're new here, my name is Leon Petru, and on this channel, we help busy working professionals upskill with automation and AI through simple step-by-step tutorials to help you be more productive, streamline your workflow, and make your life easier. If that sounds like your thing, consider hitting the subscribe button and notification bell. All right, so let's continue and let's get started into learning all the features and functionalities and building this exact bot inside of Zapier Central. So what you want to do is you want to click on this plus new bot button, all right, and we'll start completely from scratch. It will create a bot called Untitled Bot, and I'm just going to rename that, and let's give this a cool name. Let's call it Task Scheduler. All right, it's cooler than that because it can estimate time, but we'll leave it like that for now. So within Zapier Central, there are two main features when it comes to building your bots. You can either create a behavior or you can add a data source. So I'll first show you adding a data source. So I'll click this plus button, and then you want to click on add data source. So if I click this, you'll see we have 4 options: Airtable, Google Sheets, Google Docs, and Notion. So this allows you to use your own personal company or whatever data source GPT or these AI models weren't trained on, so that you can reference this data within your automations. So I'm going to use Google Sheets in our example, and then you want to select your Google Sheet. I'm currently selected on this one because I've already connected it. You can also click this gear icon and select Connect New Connection, and you can also manage your connections over here. All right, so as you can see, the task data has been added. If we click on this, you'll see we have the 2 sheets that are available in that workbook. We have task list and Q&A, and you can see here are all the tasks and here are all the durations. Perfect. I'm going to close this. And now I'm going to ask a question to that data. So I'm going to ask it something that would require AI or some kind of intelligence to process. So I'm going to say, create 5 categories based on the tasks in the task list Google Sheet, and then sum the total time spent working on each category. All right, and then let's send that in and see what the AI is able to do. So you can see it's now busy trying to answer that. It's calling a function. So basically what it's doing now, it's busy writing Python code in order to answer that question. Okay, and it says an answer based on the tasks listed in the task list Google Sheet. I've categorized them into 5 main categories: development, marketing and outreach, operations, research and analysis, strategic planning, and there is the total summed amount for each of those. All right, and if you want to see the working out, you click this drop down and you'll literally see all the Python code. You can see here's the different categories: development, research and analysis, and here it's got an array with a comma separated list of all the tasks that fall under each of those categories. All right, and then here's a data retrieved, plots a table for us, and then it wrote out the answer as well. Now, there is a limitation regarding using these knowledge bases or data sources. So the first limitation is the amount of data it can process. So you can see regarding Google Sheets, there is a maximum record of 50,000 rows. So that's the maximum amount of synced records that it can read in. And it can only read in a maximum of 26 columns within a sheet, a maximum of 20 worksheets shared across all spreadsheets. All right, and you can see here are the limitations for Google Docs. It's 96,000 words, and in Notion, it's 96,000 words as well. All right, doesn't seem like they have the limitations for Airtable, but I'm sure they will probably update the documentation with that. But I assume it's probably similar to Google Sheets. Now, the second limitation is that you're not able to trigger a action based on the data in that data source. It's only able to answer questions when you connect it. But like, let's say, for example, now I wanted to add a new row item to that data source. You're not able to do that. You have to use behaviors for that. And I can show you how to set that up without using the data source. So that now leads us to behavior. So I'm going to click this plus button and I'm going to click on create behavior. Okay. And you can see behaviors are made up of three separate things: instructions, trigger, and action. You can see here it has some placeholder text which says instructions tell your bot what to do when it's triggered, how to process or summarize the data, and which of the available actions it should use. It says for best results, be as specific as possible, break down instructions into multiple steps, and provide examples. Right, and here it gives an example of an example. When I get a new Salesforce lead, summarize it, and then send it to the sales channel in Slack. All right, so that is a okay example, but we can take principles from prompt engineering that will make this instruction or this prompt much more effective. All right, if you do want to learn prompt engineering, I have a course on that, Become an AI Prompt Engineer, on my learning platform called futurize.com. You can check out the link in the description for that. All right, so let's now add in the instructions. To save time, I wrote this prompt off screen and I will just briefly go over it. So I assigned this specific behavior a role and I said, you're an expert at estimating the duration of a specific task, and then add the task to a Google Calendar. All right, the instructions, you can see I've separated it, step 1 and then step 2. And step 1, it must estimate the duration in hours that a task will take based on the existing data using the get many spreadsheet row action. So notice what I'm doing here. I'm referencing the action, which I haven't yet added in, but I will. And then it says the task name will be enclosed in triple quotes. So basically that's me telling it every time I create a new task, I must actually type in triple quotes around the name just so that AI isn't able to interpret which part of my prompt is the name, so that it knows what name to use for the event in the calendar. Then it says, if you're provided with the estimated duration by the user, use that duration in step 2 and ignore the sheet. All right, so I might sometimes, when I'm chatting with it, I might tell it how long it'll take me, because maybe I know how long it'll take me as opposed to needing the AI to estimate it for me. Then step 2, add a new event to Google Calendar using quick add event action with the duration confirmed in step 1. If no schedule is given, the event must be added anytime during working hours between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. All right, so I'm just giving it some fallback knowledge in case I don't give it enough information. Next, we have the triggers. So you can see the AI took the information in the instructions and it's giving suggestions on which triggers you should use, if any. All right, so in this case, I don't want to trigger anything like, for example, if a new spreadsheet row is added, what I want to do is I want to trigger this based on a user message. So if I click triggers, you can see here, I have a trigger when I message the bot. So that's what I want to use in this case. So if I click that, you can see it gives me the option to add in a specific phrase or keyword. All right, so I'm going to write a specific phrase. I'm going to write schedule task : all right, now I should mention that this keyword is case sensitive. So if you want this trigger to actually work, it needs to be an exact match. All right, if you don't provide a keyword or phrase, because this is optional, if you don't provide it, the AI will try and guess if it needs to use the behavior. And sometimes it makes mistakes. So best practice is to use the specific phrase or keyword to trigger the action. So I'll click add trigger. Cool. There is our trigger phrase. And then for actions, I'm then going to use this suggested one, which is Google Calendar quick add event. There is another one, which is Google Calendar create detailed event. That one would also work, but quick add event is built specifically for use cases like this, where it needs to try and figure out the event details based on a simple message prompt. So I'm going to click add on that, and we can select our Google Calendar. You can see it's already selected on this one. The calendar, have AI select a value for this field. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to click this, and then I'm going to click set a specific value for this field. And then I'm going to choose my calendar, which is that one over there. Next, we have describe event. And you can see here it says have AI generate a value for this field. So this is now the power of Zapier Central. It is because it is able to use AI to populate fields at runtime. So while this bot is running, it's going to try and guess what the value for this describe event field should be. All right, so I'm going to leave that as is. Attendees, I'm going to click this. I'm going to say do not include a value for this field because I don't want to invite any attendees to this Google Calendar event. I'm then going to click add action. That should now work. All right. However, we haven't yet added in the action which actually reads in the data, because in this specific bot, it's not going to be able to reference the task name and the duration unless we have the action within the same behavior. All right, so you want to click add action, then click Google Sheets, and then I'm going to click on this one here, Google Sheets get many spreadsheet rows. All right, and this will return a maximum of 500 rows. So that is a limitation with this specific action. And then I'm going to populate all these fields, spreadsheets. Once again, I'm going to go and choose my spreadsheet, which is task data, right? Then under worksheet, you want to click select a specific value. In the drop down, I'll select task list, all right, which is this task list over here. Then under columns, it tells us, let us know which columns to return, example A to Z. I'm going to select this. I'm going to say A:B so that it can select the first two columns A and B, because that's the only ones that we need. Row count, I'm going to select this. I'm going to say set a specific value for this field, and I'm just going to choose maybe 100. All right, so remember the limitation is 500, which isn't great. Hopefully they can fix that. I don't think this is a Zapier limitation. I think this is more a Google API limitation. I'm going to click show all options. Let's see what else there is. All right, drive, I'll set a specific value. I'm going to choose my drive. Cool. First row, I'll use the default, which is 2, because the first row is the header. So if I look here, the header's over here. So it means the first row is row number 2. And then should this step be considered success when nothing is found, I'll just say use default false. We can then click add action. So now get many spreadsheet rows, which is referenced over here. Get many spreadsheet rows. Make sure you actually type out these action names in inverted commas. I've realized that it works better. And then I'll also reference the quick add event action, which is this one here. Cool. Now the last thing you want to do is enable this behavior. So you want to toggle it from off to on. You can close it. You can also toggle it by clicking this over here. And then it will then pop up and you can enable it. So let's now test this out. I'm going to click these 3 dots. I'm going to click start a fresh chat. All right. So I'm going to clear out all of that. And I'm then going to test this out. I'm going to say schedule task : remember, this schedule task is the trigger phrase, which I set up over here, schedule task. And what task? Let's say plan strategy for lead generation. And then when do I want to do this? I'm going to say tomorrow at 3 p.m. And then I'll send this in. And let's see if this works. All right, so if I click on this one reply over here, we can see the details of what happened. And we can see that it did check the Google Sheet, and it said that plan strategy for lead generation didn't appear in the spreadsheet. So it estimated a meeting duration of 1 hour in the Google Calendar event, and then it went and it added that event to the Google Calendar. So if I come here, we can see plan strategy for lead gen. It was added from 3 till 4 for tomorrow, which is Wednesday, which is correct. And that worked just as we expected it to. Perfect. The next step now is to do what I showed you earlier, to add a new spreadsheet row every time we manually create an event in Google Calendar. So let's go set that up. we can come back to Zapier Central and we can click this plus button, click on create behavior. We can then add instructions. I've already set this up off camera, so I'm going to copy paste this prompt over here and paste it in. This instruction reads, when a new event is added to the Google Calendar through the new event trigger, then create a spreadsheet row with the event name as the task name and the event duration as the duration in hours. Right, so just being very specific about what I wanted to do. The trigger, we can see it's detected some guesses. So Google Calendar new event, all right, that sounds right. So I'm going to use that one. Then we can configure the connection. I'll then also choose the calendar over here, which is that one. And then I'll click add trigger. Then for actions, we can see it's also guessing it should create a spreadsheet row, which is correct. I'll click add. Okay. And then the drive, I'm going to set a specific value for this field. My Google Drive, cool. The spreadsheet, I want to set a specific value. I'll choose actually that futurized Q&A, that's the old name. There you go. Okay, looked like it was just a bug. All right, task data, correct. Worksheet, select a specific value, choose value, task list. And then you can see for the task name and the duration, we want to leave that to have AI generate a value for this field because it needs to figure that out on its own. I'm going to click add action. That seems good. I'm then going to enable this to on. And I also just want to test the behavior to make sure this is working. The testing behavior, calendar to spreadsheet. So it's busy testing this out. It's probably going to add some event to my calendar. Plan strategy for lead generation. So it's using that one. And then task scheduler, Google Sheets, create spreadsheet row, the actions in progress. And with this one, it was scheduled for 1 hour. As we can see there, duration 1 hour. So it says it's complete. It says the new event plan strategy for lead generation with the duration of 1 hour has been successfully added to a spreadsheet. Let's check. And there it is. Plan strategy for lead generation. Awesome. So you'll notice there's 2. And the reason there's 2 is because I still have all my other behaviors enabled in my other bot, which I probably should have disabled. So that is over here under my first bot. Because I had it enabled over here, calendar to spreadsheets, that's why it triggered it. So I'm just going to come and disable all of these just to avoid any issues going forward. I'll then come back to our task scheduler and awesome. So now we know that is working exactly as we want it to. Now, before we continue, I just want to test this out manually to make sure it is working as it would in a real world scenario. Make sure it's enabled. Remember, you can come here and just make sure it's enabled to on. I'm then going to add a new event. I'm going to come here and say for 1 hour and 15 minutes from 5 till 6:15, I'm going to add an event, practice public speaking skills. All right, and I'll then click save. What should happen is it should go add a new task for 1 hour and 15 minutes to the spreadsheet, and you'll notice it hasn't added it, and that's because there's a bit of a time delay before it happens. If you come to Zapier Central, you can click on this activity toggle at the top, and you can click on this any status drop down and select in progress, right? And you can see now there's currently one specific action in progress, which is calendar to spreadsheet. We can see the status is in progress. We can view the details and can click this drop down and we can see all the details of the calendar event, which means the webhook from Google Calendar was received by Zapier. And it's telling us here, the summary is practice public speaking skills and the hours, 1.25 hours. And that's 25% is 15 out of 60. So that makes sense. So let me just refresh this. We can see now it's gone. That's because it's no longer in progress. The status has changed to success. I'll come here. And if I click this drop down, you can see it said created a new row in the spreadsheet. For task name, use practice public speaking skills for duration 125. So if we come check the spreadsheet, there it is. Practice public speaking skills for 1 hour 25. That is perfect. So we know that's working correctly. Now, what happens in the scenario where I want to change the duration? So let's say for instance, but it didn't take me 1 hour and 15 minutes. Maybe it took me 3 hours, right? How are we going to update the spreadsheet so that it has the most accurate data? How you can do that is you can set up another behavior to update the spreadsheet row if there is a change to the event. So what I would do manually is I would come here and I would drag this out and change it to 3 hours so that I know it will automatically update the Google Sheet. So let me show you how to set up that behavior. It's quite simple. If you want, you can actually pause the video and try do it yourself because it's very similar to how we just set up the current one. Right, so let's jump into it. I'll come back to chat, click this plus, and we're going to add in a new behavior. I've got a prompt. If you want these prompts, I will include them in the description of this video for you to copy paste. The instructions for this is when an existing event name or duration in the calendar is changed or updated, then you must update the relevant spreadsheet row with the event name as the task name and the event duration as the duration in hours. Right, so we can see here the trigger. We want to trigger this when there's an updated event. So we can see here, it's suggesting that one as the most confident. I'm going to click Browse All Triggers, go to Google Calendar, and we can see here is that new or updated event. You'll notice that there isn't any action for only an updated event because this is not going to trigger when you create a new one and when you update one, which isn't really what you want because it might cause confusion with the other trigger, which is triggered when you create a new event, which we use this one here, new event. So ideally, it would be nice if Google offered the API integration to only trigger this on an updated event, not on a new or updated event. So I'll just click this, and I know it does work because I tested it out when I built the demo. The calendar, I'll select my calendar once again, show all options, expand recurring events. All right, I'm just going to click no because I only want this to apply on a once-off event, not on recurring events. I'll then click add trigger. Cool. And then for the action, we want to update a spreadsheet row. So you can see the suggestion here. I'll click add, and we can select all these fields once again, the drive, the spreadsheet, select the specific spreadsheet. There you go, task data, worksheet, set a specific value, choose value, task list. So we can see we can select multiple options if we wanted to, but we actually don't know. So the best way is to just have AI select the value for this field. The task name, once again, we want AI needs to know which one it is and the duration. So I'll click add action, and that should do it. Cool. I'm going to click on to enable this. All right, I'll close that. So it's always good practice to test the behavior before you actually deploy it to live. So let's click on this test behavior button. All right, and it's busy triggering an update of an event. Okay, let's see. It's the practice public speaking example. All right, to update the spreadsheet. However, it appears that the necessary data source to perform this lookup is not currently synced. Okay, yeah, it's a little bit confused. I know why. It's because it's in this behavior thread. It's because it's in this test example. Let's actually just test this out with a real example. Sometimes this thing can be buggy. So we can see it's currently 125. Okay, let's come here, practice public speaking skills, edit that, and let's change this to 3 hours. Click save. Okay, so now we've changed this specific event to be 3 hours long, and it should update this cell in the Google Sheet. It does take some time for that to happen. So we can see here the calendar to spreadsheet update is in progress. Okay, you can see the details of the API response over here, or the webhook response over here. So we can see the duration is 3 hours, so it has received that data, which means all it needs to do now is update that line item in the spreadsheet. All right, so if I refresh, okay, cool, looks like it's successful. So we can see in this dropdown, the webhook was received, and you can see the duration for 3 hours was set for practice public speaking skills. However, it hasn't updated the spreadsheet, and we can see that because you can see after this trigger, there's no action. Usually it should do something like this. Google Sheets create spreadsheet row with a little check mark, and then we know it worked. However, in this case, it didn't. So why is that? So if we come and look at the activity, we can see that the event was identified, all right, for the practice public speaking skills. It could tell that we changed the duration. However, it didn't then trigger the action. And it should have, because we can see here that it should have triggered this action because it's got this trigger action pair. So in my opinion, that's a bug. Maybe that could be fixed by being more explicit in the instructions, saying after the new updated event trigger, it must then run the action update spreadsheet row. Maybe adding that in the prompt might help fix that issue, but it shouldn't. So I think it's a bug. That's the one limitation. The second limitation, as you've seen, is speed. However, I am aware that the Zapier developers are working on ways to make this product faster. And the third issue is that there's no human in the loop within this product. So if I had to give my feedback to the Zapier team, I would suggest adding some kind of feature, just like you had with custom GPTs and the Zapier AI actions, where it has that pop-up where you can validate and edit the values that the AI generates, because it's not really good practice for running actions or events or agents without a human first validating that information, because it could make mistakes, because AI can hallucinate, or AI does make mistakes, or AI could just do something that you didn't want it to do. So I think having some kind of validation station where it maybe has a list of all the tasks that a human needs to approve, you go and approve or edit and then run it, and then these agents can continue to work. I understand why they didn't do it, because you want this to be more of like a fully automated solution, because triggers can occur at any random time. However, I still think it's important to at least have the option for the human to validate the values before it actually runs those actions. If you are interested in learning how to build out that solution with a human in the loop, go check out this video on the screen right now, where I show you how to build a custom GPT using the Zapier AI actions. It's a little bit more technical than this video. However, if you enjoyed this video, you'd probably really enjoy this one too. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more content, and leave a comment on your thoughts on this video, and if you have any ideas for what video I should film next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next.